The Wild Rose, Stories of My Horses, Volume 2, written and illustrated by Martín Prechtel, narrated by Martín Prechtel, published by North Star Press of St. Cloud. Notice, all 3 volumes of the Stories of My Horses are meant as an overdue love letter and tribute to all the horses of my life and my beloved New Mexico, for the spiritual nourishment and down-to-earth vitality that, like a beautiful blanket, has kept me warm and hopeful through the cold, cynical blizzard of modernity's compromised sense of wonder. While every adventure and misadventure and episode found in these books took place precisely where and how they are described, I have taken the liberty of assigning alternative names for most, but not all of the humans in my eternal faith that even mean people can change for the better, but also to protect the sweeter kind of people from any retribution from those that won't change, and to respect the privacy of the shy. None of the horses' names, however, have been changed, so that they can be remembered again by those who knew them. Disclaimer: neither the publisher nor the author accepts any liability for any mishaps, accidents, or any damages to people, property, or animals occurring from anyone who, after reading the Stories of My Horses, is erroneously led to act on any of the opinions expressed herein as advice of any type, or who foolishly decides that they should try to reenact any of the episodes described in these books on their own lives. A dedication. Because the undeniable presence of Pueblo people's early expertise with the old magnificent breed of horse on which their first European oppressors arrived has been consciously and unfairly diminished and been dismissed or completely written out of the record of horse history by Euro-American academics. All 3 books of this series, The Stories of My Horses, are dedicated to the Tewa, the Tiwa, Towa, Ashiwi, and especially the Kara-speaking villages of the area now known as New Mexico. These Pueblo peoples were indisputably the very first North American First Nation tribes to ever ride or drive or own or raise horses. Despite 4.5 centuries of colonial oppression, it was the original native Pueblo people's continued proficiency with, reverence for, and adoption of the old Spanish Mesta-raised horses into the heart of their spiritual lives that actually converted these unique horses right out from under their own would-be religious converters, turning the colonialists' animals into the very different and fine native horses they became. Either directly or indirectly, it was from these Pueblo herds that all the great native horse cultures of the plains, prairies, and northwest of the entire American and Canadian West received their first quote-unquote indigified horses, upon whose backs their renowned mobility skyrocketed into the prominence their memory still maintains in the history of the North American native West. Introduction. Every backyard rose has a wild heart. This series, The Stories of My Horses, is not just a compendium of imaginative romantic narratives written to casually entertain the horse-loving public. As romantically remembered as they might seem to be, they are actually straightforward historical accounts of what happens when a life-loving fool like me, a native of that beautiful landlocked cultural island called northern New Mexico, who in the latter half of the 20th century decides he must live his everyday life in direct defiance of the soul-shrinking threat of modernity's earth-wrecking ugliness and mediocre existence by keeping some modicum of the bright shine and outrageous living passion of our real souls alive by flying free and beautiful on the backs of flesh and blood horses over a live, unpeopled, unmanicured land. None of these horses or what happened with them were conjured out of my head. They just seeped into my life like water into a spring, for I knew every one of them personally and lived the life.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?